Preeti, you can start.
Okay, sir. Hope I'm audible to everyone. Very good afternoon to all of you. On the behalf of Skuast-Kashmir University of Agricultural Sciences and Technology, Team Just Agriculture and Agro-Environmental Education Farmers Welfare Society Punjab, I Preeti cordially welcome you all to the successful third day of 1 week faculty development program. I hope our participants are enjoying and learning this program. For the first talk today, we have with us Samba Shivam Sam Periyanan, who is an associate professor at the School of Agriculture and Environmental Science, University of Southern Queensland, and an adjunct associate professor at the University of Queensland, Australia. After completing his PhD in agriculture at the University of Sydney in 2011, Sir started his scientific career as a postdoctoral fellow from 2011 to 2016 at CSIRO, where he eventually became an independent scientist in 2016 and worked until 2022. Between 2017 and 19, Sir took a secondment position at the Australian National University, ANU, to complete his Australian Research Council Early Career Fellowship. On return to CSIRO, he also served as the crop resistance gene team leader from 2019 to 2021. Sir's research interest is centered on molecular genetics and pathology, focusing on cereal crops and rust pathogens. Apart from publications in top journals such as Science and Nature Biotechnology, Sir is the recipient of prestigious awards such as Goldacre Award from the Australian Society of Plant Scientists and Chairman's Medal from CSIRO. Currently, he is a senior editor for Plant Disease and associate director at BMC Biology Frontiers in the Plant Science and Plant Environment Interactions journals. We are happy to have you here, sir. Without any further delay, I would like to invite Sir to the podium to address us. Over to you, sir.
No. Can you all see my slides, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. Should we have to wait for 1 or 2 minutes for more participants to attend, or we should keep going? Or
yeah, I think we can wait, sir, probably.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, all the participants has joined already through YouTube because we are live on the YouTube. Okay.
okay,
On,
no problem.
yeah, on Zoom only our team members are joined.
Okay, no problem. Yeah.
More than 100 participants already joined through YouTube.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a great pleasure for me to participate in the Just Agriculture webinar on publishing good articles. And I'm really proud to be, as being born and brought up in India, I really feel happy to take part in this important workshop on how to publish good research or review papers, because this is one of the key important aspects where you can sell yourself as a good researcher. And that is something that we from India lack a lot, because we don't have that real pressure in Indian government or in Indian organization that we have to publish a very high impact factor journals in order to get promoted or in order to get a good job. Whereas in case of Western countries like Australia and US, that is not the case. So no jobs in Australia or any other place, it's called permanent. They call it as ongoing, or they call it as indefinite. So that means you can be in a job. It doesn't matter whether you work for a government agency or in a private organization. Your job will be continued only when your performance is up to the expectation. So that's where everything, it doesn't matter. I have been working in the federal or the central government institutes. Now I have recently shifted to university. Anywhere in Western countries, it's the same. It doesn't matter whether it's in UK or in US or in Australia or Canada, anywhere. So you will be employed as a permanent staff member until your performance is up to the mark of your career level. So I have made a lot of slides. So these slides I have prepared based on my own experience as a PhD student, my own experience as a research career, and also my own experience as a primary supervisor for some of the PhD students. So far I have supervised 3 PhD students, and they have completed and they have got a job. And I have been as a co-supervisor for a number of students. And then more recently, I have been acting as a senior editor and associate editor for some of the very important journals like BMC Biology, Frontiers in Plant Science, and Plant Disease journals. So today, in today's workshop, I want it to be like a more interactive, so that it's not just myself sharing my experience. It's also you guys have also I want you guys also to share some of your experience and what we can do from that point onwards. I hope anybody who is attending through YouTube will also have the opportunity to share their experience either through message or email message or anything. I'm more happy to have this 1 hour session as a very friendly interaction rather than going as a one-way lectures. I hope this is more possible. So please, anybody in Zoom or in YouTube, please feel free to interpret me anytime, so that I can go more deeper if any of the points is not relevant or it's not making any sense or anything. So for today's webinar, I really picked up what we do most as a mistakes and what we should not do. So those things. So for example, whenever we write up publications, we know that there are certain things that we should not do it. And there are certain things we have to follow in order to make sure that our publication gets to the final stage for acceptance. So first thing, I'm not sure whether you guys will agree or not. For me, journal reputation is more important than their impact factors. For example, if I have the options to publish a paper in theoretical and applied genetics, which is one of the very important or internationally reputed journal for genetics and plant breeding research, which has an impact factor of 5.574. And if I have the opportunity to submit a paper for Frontiers in Plant Science with an impact factor of 6.627, my preference will be goes to theoretical and applied genetics, even though it has one impact factor less than Frontiers in Plant Science, because the reputation of theoretical and applied genetics is much more wider, and it has a very huge history of being one of the top journal for theoretical and applied genetics and plant breeding research. So that particular thing is very, very important when you are choosing the journal. You just should not blindly go and select a journal based on their high impact factors, because impact factors can vary from year to year. Whereas once the journal has a high reputation, it's very hard to maintain a high reputation. Journals like theoretical and applied genetics, they have been working through years to sustain their reputation as one of the top journal for applied genetics, irrespective of, because, for example, in Frontiers in Plant Science, the impact factor went high because Frontiers accept more number of review articles. So any journals that has more review articles, automatically their impact factor goes high. So there are a lot of hidden things that influence the impact factor of a journal. Whereas for us as a researcher, we have to see how our colleagues or our collaborators and anybody outside our own area represent as one of the key person in this research. It's mainly based on our publication in a highly reputed journals. So next, by default, we all think that everybody, the editors, the reviewers, and the wide audience all know about the topic that we have done the research. But that is not the case. Sometimes, for example, if you take disease-resistant research in wheat, it can fall into 2 categories. For example, rust, powdery mildew, they all belong to biotrophic pathogen, the pathogen that can infect and live only on living tissues. Whereas Septoria and Fusarium, they are called either necrotrophic or hemibiotrophic. That means these pathogens, they infect on the living tissue. However, later on, they make those living tissues dead, and they feed on the dead leaf tissues to complete their complete life cycle. So, for example, I have been acting as a senior editor for plant disease. So when you are submitting a paper on rust or powdery mildew, it's very, very hard for us to get reviewers all who are expertise in rust on powdery mildew. So sometimes we have to look for expertise who have knowledge in septoria or fusarium. So in that case, if the reviewer is not familiar with rust or powdery mildew, definitely he will be looking for more introduction or more information on rust and powdery mildew disease. So that's where anytime when you are writing your paper, you have to make sure the matter you have written can be readable and it can be understood by anybody, even though they are not working on your particular disease. So that's where as a default, whenever you are writing your manuscript, one good example is to get your manuscript working on that topic, so that you know that whatever you have written will be covering a wide audience. This is a very common mistake. It's not only you guys. I have done the same mistake when I was doing my PhD. My supervisor always say that you have written the whole manuscript as though the person who is going to review knows all about what you have done. And that is not the case in most of the time. So it's always important that when you're drafting your manuscript, you make sure your manuscript should be able to be understood by anybody. Even if somebody is not familiar with the disease, he should be able to familiar with. So next is the most of the thing I have seen is a lack of novelty or value addition to the existing story. For example, if you are working on characterizing a new pathogen using morphological biochemical characteristics, and if you have found this particular topic or an article on this topic has been published in plant disease, so automatically you make your mindset that, yeah, I have done the similar work and my work should be able to publish in plant disease. But that is not the case, because when you are preparing your manuscript, you are referring to an article that is published, for example, in 2022. Whereas after all the editing process, after all the reviewing process, your article will be published in 2023, for example, in early 2023 or in mid 2023. So that means the journal will be expecting something that has to be a little bit more value added, or it has to have more novelty. So that is something we always miss when we are making our manuscript. So whenever we are making manuscript, we are making our manuscript that will be published 6 months later when we are submitting your manuscript. So that means something that should appear after 6 months. So editors and reviewers will be looking for manuscripts that has something new or more than what has been happening now. For example, if you want to add value for this particular topic, what can be done is like characterization of new pathogen using molecular or biochemical characteristics. What we can do is you can add value by doing marker screening so that it adds a little bit more value. Or you can also sequence these new pathogens so that you are adding genomic sequencing information. So thereby, this particular manuscript will have 2 additional values. So the other important aspects of manuscript is so we always, as a PhD student or a early career researchers, we try to include all the data on all figures. It's a default thing. It's not just by yourself. Anybody, we all try to, because we have worked for 2 years or 3 years or many, many years, and we have generated so much data. So in our mind, we always feel like the more we include data or figures, so that like editors and reviewers, we think that they will think that we have done more and more of it, right? We try to sell our project based on the amount of data, but that is not the case. So editors and reviewers, they want a good story out of it, and they want a very simple figure or table that can be self-explanatory or that can include message that can be easily understood by readers or reviewers. For example, if you take the table on the right-hand side, you can see that it has the table different markers and different lines and their marker scores. If you see the whole data, you need to go through so much times in order to identify which one of these markers are closely linked to the YR672 gene. Whereas on the left-hand side, if you have a map, chromosome map, that shows the distance of each of these markers related to the gene YRAET672, you can easily identify. For example, you can say that CSQ11 and CSQ16 are the closely linked markers because they are located next to the gene. Whereas if you want to understand this one from the table, you have to go through the scores of each of these lines. So it's really, really complicated. So that's where it's always important that you just include a simple figure, and it has to be more self-explanatory. So we don't need to go through the whole text of materials and methods, results, everything in order to understand what is the key results or invention from your project. So all your figures has to be self-explanatory, and it has to be as simple as possible so that anybody who can look at your figures can be able to understand what is about this project. And the other important thing is why we have to be very careful of including a very good self-explanatory figure is that all the editors and reviewers, they all do services. They are not paid from the journals. They are all random researchers who are known in the field and who have been approached by the lot of publications like publishing agencies, and they have been invited to act as a senior editor or reviewer or anything, just by mere self of voluntary activities. So their priority is to write a projects to get more money or to supervise students or to do teaching. So they don't have enough time to spend on your manuscript to decide whether it is acceptable for review or it has to be sent for revision or it has to be accepted for publication. So in that case, you have to make sure that whatever you have done has to be in a perfect way so that the editor has interest to follow up your work and then to proceed for publication. And the other thing, since we are not paid when we are doing the editing or reviewing, we always keep this reviewing part or editing part as the secondary option. So most of the time we do when we were very tired at the end of the day, when we finish all our day-to-day activities and we were just to relax, oh, let us do this, or when we were attending a conference or when we were traveling. So we try to do the editorial process because that is a secondary for us. It doesn't fall into our primary thing because we are not paid for doing these activities. So in that case, whatever you have mentioned in your manuscript, the most easiest way is to look at. So for me, whenever I get into a manuscript, I quickly look into the figure and then I can understand, okay, this paper is about this one. Is it worth to send it to a reviewer for revision and then for publication? So if you don't have a quality figure, then I would say that, yeah, I couldn't understand anything from this figure. So it looks like it doesn't make as the novel project. So I don't worry about this one. So let me reject, or so your secondary thought will be of rejection. So that's where I feel like, please give more importance for figures and tables. They have to be self-explanatory because they are the first point of reference for both editors and for reviewers. And the other common mistakes I have seen is too rush to publish. For example, when you are doing if you are a PhD student or if you are a postdoctoral fellow, you try to publish before your term or contract ends, but that is not the case, because to make a good paper, it all depends on how much work you have done or what stage of the project you have been engaged. For example, if you have been involved in a project that you have to start from scratch, obviously it takes a lot of time because you need to generate resources. You need to complete all the experiments in order to make a complete story. Whereas if you are joining in the middle of the project or towards the end of the project where you are doing few experiments to complete the whole story, you will be lucky enough to publish a quality paper within your end of your contract or PhD duration. So suppose if you are starting your project from the scratch, be patient to wait beyond your PhD or beyond your postdoctoral training to make a complete story, because it takes so long to generate a publishable data. Whereas if you don't wait to complete the last few experiments to make a complete story of your things, then you almost wasting all your hard work you have done for the 3-4 years. And that leads to more chance for rejection. So that's where it's important to do little bit more experiments to make a complete story. For example, if you are doing a characterization of new pathogens using using morphological or biochemical characteristics, just by itself, it doesn't say anything new. Whereas if you are adding 2 more experiments, one to do a marker screening or for genome sequencing, you are adding additional value. For example, information on phylogeny. How does these new strains related to the existing strain? Where does it sit within the global group of strains? So there are a lot of new things that you can add by just waiting for a few more experiments in order to make a complete story. So don't be in a too rush to publish anything if you think it doesn't make a complete story, or when your supervisor says that, can we do these 2 experiments to make a full story? Because most of the time we were in a rush because we think that our next job is dependent on our publication. Not in all the case. And the other thing, we always think that if you have more number of papers, then your colleagues or your friends thinks that you are more valuable. That is not the case. For example, if you have 4 or 5 papers in a 2 or 3 impact factor journals, it is not valuable rather than having 1 quality paper in 5 or 6 impact factor journals. And the time to take to publish in a high quality paper, it comes only once. So if you already dilute your efforts by splitting into number of papers, you are missing your chance to publish in a high quality journal, because it takes so much, because you have been working for years and years to make a high quality publishable data. Why don't you wait for a few more experiments to make it as a good quality paper? And the other thing, please try to combine your experiments in order to make a good quality big papers, because you don't have that chance anymore. So whenever there is a chance for you to combine your chapters, better please do it, because you are always judged based on your publication in high quality journals rather than quantity of papers. The other thing is, most of the authors were not keen to be joint first authors. Whenever there is an opportunity to combine research from other groups, please try to accept it, because there are few valuable points. For example, it makes to have a very complete story. You might have done an experiment which can give you part of the results, whereas the other group might have done the same experiments and they may not be knowing that you have been also doing the same project. Whereas if you can identify a common path where you can include some of your experiments and the other team can include some of their unique experiments, and if you combine together, it makes it very strong and it goes to a high impact journal. And the other opportunity is like when you are able to accept combining research from other groups, then you are making a good network, right? Because they knew that you are one of the very potential candidate for their future works. So it also includes to develop networks. So for example, most of my papers I have published earlier, they're all joint, whether I am a joint first author or I'm a joint corresponding and lost authors. And that have really helped me to develop a lot of new projects and also helped me to develop a lot of networks. And the other thing is that most of the time we are stingy in adding collaborators or co-workers as co-authors. By default, we always feel like, okay, when we have few authors, then we think that everybody has a valuable contribution. That is not the case. So when you have more and more collaborators, the amount of work or the project, for example, if that's this project, if a project takes 5 years to complete, if you have a very large collaborations and each collaborators have their unique skills of doing a specific experiment, you can complete this project within 2 years. And this will really, really have a lot of benefit. For example, by together, it can make a very good story. And the other thing, you are able to publish much earlier than anticipated. For example, if you are able to publish within 2 years, so you are almost winning against your competitors. For example, if you are doing by yourself, it will take more time. And who knows, there will be other competitors who have been working on the same area and they may be more faster than you. Whereas when you are working with a large group, you will be able to complete the story much in a shorter time. So you are more ahead of your competitors. And the other thing is that it will help you to publish in high impact journals because you have been adding more expertise and more from different labs. So they are all maybe very well known among the journals, editors, as well as reviewers. They think that, okay, I know this person working on this area. So any work from the journal, any work that this person, where he is a collaborator or a co-author, will be a good work. So I'm sure I'm going to tick this article. So that's where when you make more and more authors in your papers and from different diverse labs, automatically the editors and reviewers think that, yes, this guy is really open for collaboration. And I'm sure these guys are already published in this journal. So they have more confidence on your paper to get it published. And the other thing, it gets more and more revised. So you have the more chance of submitting a manuscript that has more revised with less mistakes. And the other thing, as I said, more efficiency, because a work that has to be completed by 5 years, whereas with the collaborations, you can complete within 2 or 3 years, so that you are ahead of your competitors. So next, with my experience as a senior editor in plant disease and as an associate editor in BMC Biology Frontiers in Plant Science, Plant Environment Interaction, I want to highlight some of the common mistakes that I have seen throughout that has been identified as an editor from the manuscripts. So one of the very common mistake we have seen is the grammatic and formatting errors. So this is something, it's really, really very important, because what happened, it doesn't matter how much work you have done for your manuscript or what results your manuscript is doing. The first impression that any editor or reviewer will make is like how far you have followed up the journal's policy or journal's guidelines to make the manuscript format, because it also indirectly tells that you have considered all those guidelines as an important criteria in order to make your manuscript fit for the targeted journal. And the other thing, if you don't have a proper formatting, or if you have a lot of grammatic mistakes, it can easily say that, oh, you don't worry about publishing in a good journal. So you just submit whatever you have identified. So it automatically says and bad information on you that you haven't done enough efforts, or you are not giving enough importance for your manuscript to be published. So make sure the first manuscript that you submit for the journal, it is thoroughly revised and it doesn't have any grammatic mistakes or any formatting mistakes. Make sure it is like a ready to publish format. Because it gives really, it helps to build confidence for the handling editors. The first thing, whenever we get a manuscript, we look at the figures, we just go through the abstract, and if we think that there are a lot of grammatic mistakes, straight away we reject. Or if it doesn't conclude the message properly, or it doesn't show any novelty, we think that, yeah, it's just one among the 50 manuscripts that we rejected. That's it. Because as I said you earlier, all the editors, reviewers, they do a voluntary job. So they don't care about whether we have to take all our extra unpaid efforts to make your manuscript published, because we have plenty of demands, because every journals, they have a lot of demands. We get so many manuscripts submitted. So none of the journals lack or they don't go deficient in getting enough manuscript. So we have plenty of manuscript coming through. So we have plenty of choice to decide which manuscript we want to publish in our journal. So that's where the more you make it more easier for the editors or reviewers, the more chance you get it published. And the other thing, if one reviewer reject and if the other reviewer accept, if your manuscript doesn't have much grammatic mistakes or formatting errors, it will automatically help the editors to strive towards acceptance. Thereby, they will say accept with minor revision. Whereas, if your manuscript has a lot of grammatic mistakes and formatting errors, automatically the editors will side towards reject reviewers. So they will slide towards the reviewer who wants to reject. We will say that we, as per the reviewer's comments, we try to reject your manuscripts since it doesn't have any novelty or it has a lot of errors. So that's where it's very, very important. Whenever you are submitting your manuscript, make sure it doesn't have any grammatic mistakes and it doesn't have any formatting errors. Revise as much as possible. And as I said before, always include high quality figures and tables. As I said, we all editors and reviewers do a volunteering job in terms of journal editing and reviewing. We are not paid, and so that we do most of our tasks during our free time. So we will be very tired after our routine task, or we'll be doing something when we were in traveling. So we try to do it in a rush. So try to make your figures as good as possible. For example, every editors will always refer figures as their quick reference to understand your manuscript or to understand the novelty of the thing. And the other important aspect is, as much as possible, try to make your tables and figures self-explanatory, because we never try to read through your introduction, or we never want to read through your materials and methods, results and discussion in order to understand what does that work tells about. Whereas if I can look at your figures and if it can fully explain the whole paper, then it is like it's a big tick from the editor towards acceptance of your manuscript. And the other important thing is that as humans, we are always more attracted towards image than text. So that's where whenever you have a high quality figure, our eyes will automatically get into the figure rather than reading through the text. So that is the other human nature, that you need to have a very good quality images. And the fourth important one, that quality image also attract reviewers towards good impression on your work as well, because reviewers are also doing their voluntary job. So any quality images will also help them to slide towards acceptance. And the third important thing is that don't skip citing relevant literatures, although it is similar to your work. Because, for example, being a senior editor in plant disease, whenever I get a manuscript, the first thing, so most of the journals, they don't select the reviewers, the nominated reviewers, because we know that most of the authors include reviewers or nominate reviewers who are their close friends or who has been known to them as a long-term collaborators. So we don't want to bias your work. So for that reason, what we do is in most cases, we try to avoid using the reviewers nominated by the authors. And one of the easiest way for us to identify reviewers is to go to the Google Scholar and to Google the topic of your manuscript to see who are all the other authors or who are the other researchers who have done similar work. Then we pick up some of the authors from those already published work as a reviewer for your paper. So in that case, if you haven't cited any of your paper, any of their papers, even though you have done a similar work, that will really make the reviewers to slide towards rejection policy, because they knew that, oh, what is the reason for them not to cite our work, even though it is more relevant. So you think that you want to show your work as very novel. You feel that if you are citing the literatures that are related or similar to your work, you feel that, oh, that is going to make the editors or reviewers think that my work doesn't have novelty. That is not the case. So you can always add novelty to your project by adding, as I said before, you can add few experiments, or you can do some methods that is new or something different from the previous papers. So there are a lot of chances that you can add value addition to your paper, to your studies. Or if you think that you have done a similar work, like a paper in a plant disease, don't try to publish in the same journal. Because as I said, your journal or your manuscript will be published 6 months after your submission. So that means you have to submit a journal that has a little bit lower impact than the journal that has the previous relevant publications, because your article will be published 6 months from the time you have submitted. So that means it has to be added more work in order to show it as a novel paper. So that's where, if you think that you couldn't able to add any value, please try to publish your paper in a journal that has a little bit less impact factor than the original work. And the fourth important thing, try to address all the comments from the reviewers or the editors with a positive note. Don't go against reviewers or editors, because that is one of the very difficult thing, because you always sometimes feel that, I think I don't like the comments from the reviewers, I don't like the comments from the editors, but that is not the case. So in most cases, most of the revised manuscripts are often sent to the same reviewers for final revisions. So if you don't comment, or if you don't address all the revisions that is raised by the reviewers, then those reviewers, the first thing that any reviewers will look at the revised manuscript is that, have they addressed my comments? If you don't address their comments, that means you are ignoring their comments, or you are against their valuable. It automatically puts you against the reviewers. So when your revised manuscript has been sent to the same reviewers, if they think that the authors haven't addressed all the comments, so I recommend for rejection, automatically the editors has the rights to reject your manuscript. There are a lot of stories I have heard that even though your manuscript has been said that it has to be resubmitted with revision, or it will be accepted after revision, there are a lot of manuscript has been rejected even with the initial acceptance for revision, because the authors failed to address all the comments raised by the editors. So you don't want to miss every single chance to make your manuscript to be accepted. So try to be as gentle as possible, even though if you think that some of the comments from the reviewers doesn't make sense, or it's a little bit irrelevant, you try to address in a polite way. We can say that, I appreciate the review comments from the reviewers, or I really thank the reviewers for their critical comments. However, because of lack of time or anything that I couldn't able to fulfill this one, I really appreciate you. So you try to please the reviewers that whatever comments they have raised is still important. However, we couldn't able to fulfill it because of these reasons. Because when they're reading the revised manuscript, they want to make sure that you respect their comments. It doesn't matter whether you are able to address or you are able to answer all the comments, but they will really look for that you respect their time, their efforts to read through the manuscript. And the other one is like, even if it's a major revision, don't get upset or don't feel that your manuscript is rejected. Try to revise and resubmit, because most of the revised manuscripts are often handled by editors. For example, in plant disease, if you are submitting a major revised manuscript, the first thing what I used to do is I try to look at your comments and try to see that you have addressed all the comments raised by the reviewers. Then straight away I say accept for publication, because most of the journals, they are really trying hard to find a reviewer. So we don't want to send your revised manuscript to the same reviews again and again. So we try to reserve those reviewers as a genuine customers. So that's why most of the revised manuscripts are handled by editors. So, and we edit as an editor, we always try to see that you have addressed all the comments of your comments raised by the reviewers. So don't be negatively, what I would say that if you get a manuscript with a major revision, try to address all the comments raised by the reviewers and resubmit with a positive note. And most likely, nearly more than 80% of the major revised manuscripts are mostly got accepted in a lot of journals. So finally, I would like to say that do the best you can until you know better. And then when you know better, please try to do better. And with this note, I write to express all the best for all your manuscripts or any other endeavor that you really want to do it in future. And I'm really happy for you guys to contact me at any time in need of any advice. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a wonderful time with you. I'm sure that the discussion that you made is surely helpful to all participants. Personally, to me as well, as I'm a research fellow, it was helpful to me as well. So thank you so much for your valuable time and presentation, of course. So we have 2-3 questions from our participants. So with your permission, shall I ask, sir?
Yes, no problem.
Yeah, so the first question, sir, is how to identify predatory journals, sir?
So in terms of predatory means that some journals which were not recognized, or some journals which were not, which is like they can publish anything that is just on sake of money, right? Is that is the thing I can understand as a predatory journal, something journals that merely for money, right? So I hope most of you are have access to the journal impact factor. And the other thing, journal impact factor, it's not like, so there are only few agencies who are highly recognized for impact factor. For example, Journal Citation Index. I think that is mostly from the Web of Science, I guess. Thomas Luthier, or I think that's the one. Let me, I will show the page, which I have been looking through for our so for example, I'm sure everybody can look in my web page, right? Can you look at my slides, sir? Yes, right?
Sir, it's
can you look
visible.
can you look at my web page, or you couldn't able to look at my web page?
No, sir. We are unable to.
Okay. So it says that your screen sharing is paused. I don't know how to make it live.
Just a minute, sir. So we'll provide you access, sir.
Yeah. So it says that your screen sharing is paused.
Sir, now you please try. I think
okay.
Yeah.
So can you look at my web page, right?
So I think first you have to share your screen, sir. You have not shared, I think, sir.
Okay. Resume sharing. Can you share? Can you see now? Yes.
So
It
you
says
have to
your
stop. You have to stop your presentation. We are seeing your presentation only, sir.
yeah, no problem. So now you can see the. Can you see the web page now?
No, sir.
Clarivate. Okay. Maybe what I will do. So I think maybe what I will do. So there is this page called Clarivate. Copy. I will just. Can you see my slides now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. I think it's not. Copy. So it's called Clarivate. So that is the page where it's one of the highly recognized, reputed site where you can look for more details of your journals. Clarivate.
Okay, sir.
So I think I would recommend you all to just play around with this one. So you have to sign in, and then you can look at the details of all the journals. You can look at their impact factor, journal citation index. They call quadrille, because quadrille means whether your journal in this area is within the top 25%. They have quadrille for journal citation index. They also have quadrille for journal impact factor. For example, if I take theoretical applied genetics, they will look at. I think I should be able to.
So first you have to like stop sharing your presentation and then please try, sir.
Okay. Stop sharing. Okay. Now I've shared the screen. Share. Can you see now?
Yeah. Very well, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So for example, if I type theoretical and applied genetics, I hope you all can see that, right? So for example, if I just type into theoretical and applied genetics, so you can see now journal impact factor, so 5.574. Then you can see that so it started in 2017, it's around 3.930, and then it went high, and somehow this year it has dropped a little bit. Last year it has been 5.69, and this year it is 5.57. So it's not that bad. But the most important thing is that to look at into this, they call journal impact factor. For example, here if you see in terms of agronomy, it has 12th position among the 90 journals. So it comes into Q1. For example, if you take 25% of 90, it will be 45. So within 22 journals. So then will be Q1. In terms of genetics and heredity, it is within 33 out of 175. So if you take within 175, the quadrille will be 90, 60, 80, within 40. So it's still Q1. Then if you go still further, journal citation index, then it is also from Q1. So within 25% of 124. Then within journal genetics and heredity category, again within Q1, because it is within 25% of 121 journals. So these are the key things you have to look into it. So if your predatory journal doesn't fall into, if it's not included in journal citation report of Clarivate, please don't try to publish in those journals. So clearly I would say that this Clarivate journal citation report is one of the very important worldwide used system to see whether your journal is one of the, it's not a predatory journal or anything. And I think these days there are plenty of journals. There is no shortage for journals. I'm sure you can clearly look into journals. So try to publish your paper in any journal that has a citation index from the journal citation report of Clarivate.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for clarifying. So the next question is how we can publish our research papers in an open access journals as their article processing charges are too high.
Yeah. I think I don't worry much about open access. For example, there are a lot of journals that have, lot of papers that I have recently published. It's not open access because if you see most of the institutes or universities, they have access to most of the journals. So you don't need to worry about open access. I think it's all money-making machine because most of the journals, they just want to get more money out of from the authors. So you don't need to worry about it. For example, if they are going to make your article as open access, and if you think that a remote institute in a rural Africa wants to cite your paper, you are sure that the article they are going to publish is not going to make any citation for you. They are not going to publish in a good reputed journal or in a journal with an impact factor. And that is not going to make any value for your paper. So if you want to publish your paper, for example, if you want to have a very good citation for your manuscript, you don't need to worry about open access. So any paper, any authors or anybody who wants to cite your paper, you want to publish, you want your manuscript to be cited in a very good reputed journal, right? And most of the authors who want to publish their paper in a reputed journal, they automatically have access to your journals if it's a good reputed journal. So we don't need to worry about open access. I don't think open access will have a big influence on your citation. So you don't need to worry about that.
Thank you so much, sir. So the last question for today's session is what are the precautions that an author should take during writing a review paper, especially?
I'm not sure whether review paper it's really important. For example, if you have a sufficient data to make a research paper, I would say please give importance for your research paper first. So if somebody, for example, if you think that you need to work a little bit more or you need to work for 1 or 2 more years to make a good research paper, in that case, in order to show that you are able to publish some papers during your PhD or during your early career research, that's the time that you spend time on writing a review paper, because you know that to make your first research paper or a high impact research paper, it takes time. So in order to show that to the job market that you are capable of writing papers, you are capable of publishing in highly reputed journals, it is important that you try to publish at least 1 review paper before your main research paper gets published. And the other important thing, it's very important that when you are writing a review paper, you make sure you have co-authors who are really well known in the topic that you want to review. So if you don't have a top co-authors from the same area, your articles won't be cited that much. And the other thing is that when you are writing a review paper, make sure you're trying to add more value. It's not like just saying that Ram et al. Said this one, John et al. Said this one. It's not something that you are just want to summarize somebody who has already done some work. So you try to make a story out of it. You try to say that, yes, 20 years back, this is a story. Whereas now, with the advances in DNA sequencing or in marker technology, that's where we are heading through. And in future, in 5 years' time, this is the where we are going to be. So you try to say what happened in the past, and you try to say this is where we are heading through, and this is what going to happen. So you have to make an anticipation that something that is going to happen, a big picture is going to happen in future. So most of us, we try to write review as a literature review. We try to say that what happened before you start working on this. That is not the case, because everybody can go through those ones and look after it. But whereas your aim should be saying something that is something going to happen. You need to write your dreams. You need to say that in future, this is what going to happen. Something like that. So you need to predict what is going to be, what is about future. So that's where most of the journals will have an outlook or conclusion or something which is more of unexpected things or your dreams of what is going to happen. Yeah.
So with this, I will call it a session, sir. Thank you so much for joining and sparing your time with us. On the behalf of Team Just Agriculture and all of our participants, I would like to thank you once again. Thank you so much, sir. We really enjoyed and we really learned from this, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So coming to the next session. Ma'am, did our next guest join? Dear participants, we will wait for just 5 minutes. Our next guest is yet to be joined. So after that, we will call. Good evening, sir. Coming to the next session of the day, before welcoming sir, I would like to introduce all of you to our next session. And the speaker of the session is Dr. Rakesh Kumar Trivedi, who is a director at Environmental Sciences, EM International, Pune. Sir has done BSc from Agra University and MSc Botany from Banaras Hindu University. Sir has done his PhD in Environmental Sciences from University of Rajasthan, Jaipur. Sir has a considerable experience in setting up educational institutions in science and technology, environment and infrastructure, and real estate management, including establishment of a deemed university. Head of the Department of Pollution Studies and University Department of Environmental Sciences for 26 years, sir has been. Sir has been a lecturer head from Department of Pollution Studies, YC College of Sciences. In the year of 2005 and 6, Sir has served as a professor and head Department of Environmental Sciences, University of Pune, India. Sir has been awarded Junior Research Fellowship of UGC and Senior Research Fellowship of CSIR India. Sir has won ESDA Eminent Scientist Award 2020, Dr. Vallabhbhai Patel Chest Institute, University of Delhi, Lifetime Achievement Award in Environmental Science, University of Burdwan 2014. Sir has attended various trainings and seminars in and around India. International workshop on preventive environmental management organized by the University of Sweden at Nagpur in 2002. Sir has been a National Assessment and Accreditation Council, Bangalore, and also at BARC, Mumbai. Sir has done international assignments like conferences and visiting faculty, which includes paper presentation, invited lectures, and session chairman. Sir has around 124 research papers published, around 33 book authored and edited. Out of those 33, 2 books authored by him are a part of National UGC India syllabus on environment as recommended books. Sir has guided 3 PhD students, 1 MPhil, 1 MTech, and 14 MSc by research students. Sir has guided by the time. Sir has been in and reviewer and referee for leading international journals like Bioresources Technology elsewhere USA, Ecological Engineering elsewhere, Waste Management, Journal of Environmental Biology India. Sir is an editor to Pollution Research, a quarterly journal now in 41st volume, one of the most leading environmental journals of India. Another journal, Ecology, Environment and Conservation, Ecology, Environment, and Sir has been associated with many major research projects as principal investigator also. For example, water hyacinth for sewage treatment, freshwater lakes on Western Ghats, pollution of the river Krishna, aquatic plants for pollution control by UGC, water quality survey of the river Krishna, vacation training program on bioresources. Other than that, Sir has made more than 20 presentations in international conferences and more than 30 research papers and invited lectures in various national conferences in India. And over 150 lectures has been delivered by Sir in refresher courses, social organizations, and various other forums. Sir's area of research and interest include ecology and effects of pollution on lakes and reservoirs, algal ecology, ecology and effects of pollution on rivers, application of water hyacinth in sewage and industrial waste treatment, biomonitoring of waste pollution, heavy metal removal from industrial waste, environmental management and laws, climate change, CDM, and carbon markets. Sir has been professionally affiliated with International Association for Environmental Management, NEERI, a life member, International Water Association UK, International Specialist Group on Use of Macrophytes in Water Pollution Control as a member, Indian Society of Limnology and Oceanography, National Institute of Ecology, New Delhi, International Society for Environmental Botanists as a life member, and Microbiology Society of India as a life member. Sir, we are happy to have an eminent personality like you here today, and it's clearly visible from your infinite achievements also. You are most welcome to the podium of Just Agriculture, sir. And I request you to join and address us, sir, now. So thank you, sir. Over to you, sir. Hello, sir. Sir, can you hear me? Hello, sir. Sir, can you hear me? So please connect yourself via audio, sir.
Sir, kindly join the audio.
So you're not audible to us, sir. So please kindly join via audio, sir.
Preeti, just wait for 5 minutes. Our speaker is facing some technical issue. He'll be joining in
Okay.
5 minutes.
Okay, ma'am. Participants are requested to keep patience. Our guest is joining in a very short while. We are extremely sorry for the inconvenience caused. There is a technical problem at the sir's side. So we are looking for that, and please keep patience. Stay connected. Good evening, sir. So please unmute yourself, sir. Sir, please unmute yourself, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Now it is clear?
It's clear, sir. You're audible, sir.
And voice is coming?
Yes, sir. Voice is coming, sir.
And can you join the presentation?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. A very good evening to everyone. I'm sorry for this delay. This is not actually the place where I sit for my online presentations. But anyway, we will continue. See, I'm going to present today on writing a research paper and sending proposals for funding in science. Next one. Yeah, a few slides are actually not very correct, so we have to come down. Yeah, see, we publish our papers in different journals, and nowadays it is time of ratings. You find a large number of, everybody is able to hear me? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Very well, sir.
Yeah, you find a large number of ratings which are given on the websites of various journals, but most of them are useless. The important ones are like UGC CARE in India and NAS, that is National Academy of Agriculture Sciences, Web of Science, that is Science Citation Index, and also Clarivate Analytics, as it is called these days, and Scopus. I think these four which matter most. Can you go down the slides? Okay. Yeah. Actually, my presentation is being hidden by some of these things. Can I do something about this?
Yes, sir. Well, let me see.
It
Sir.
should come on the full screen, but in the side, the pictures, your picture and I think my picture are coming.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can we just remove them? Go to the earlier slides. Go to the earliest, yeah. Earlier slides, please. Yeah. Why it is important to publish a research paper? It is often said, publish or perish. This is really true in the modern academic world. You need to publish. If you have done some study or research, still I think something is coming in the side that may affect, or can we take it a little bit to this side?
So, do one thing.
Yeah.
You just minimize your that where you can see yourself, right? You'll be.
Okay, I minimize that. Yeah. Now it's okay.
Yeah.
Now it's
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
Okay.
If you have done some study or research, nobody will come to know of it or get benefited by it. I myself am a victim of this because I have done a lot of research which is not yet published. Unless you publish, which is the best method of disseminating, besides presenting in a conference, everybody wants to attend a conference, and this is also recorded in your biodata, how many conferences you have attended. You need to write a research paper. Your academic performance is also judged by the number and quality of research papers you have published. Quality here is important. If you are seeking a research funding, I don't know what kind of audience I'm speaking to, but if there are youngsters, they will be joining as faculty. Once they become faculty, they'll be submitting research project, and evaluation of their project has one important component, that is how many of the research papers you have published in the quality journals. Okay, go to the next slide, please. If I'm doing from here, it's not happening. Yeah. Your promotion to higher position is also dependent on research papers you have published. No progress is possible unless new research information is known to the world. I remember 20 years ago, I published a paper in one of my journals called Asian Journal of Microbiology, Biotechnology and Environmental Sciences on stevia. At that time, stevia was not in the market. Subsequently, so many papers were published, and now stevia is a product which is freely available in the market. If you do not publish, you have wasted the time and money which was spent on your research. Now the types of papers, you can write a full-length research paper based on the laboratory or field study, or a short note, which is called as a short communication, or you can write a review paper, or a concept paper, or a policy paper. For example, you want to comment on Government of India's climate change policy. You can write a policy paper on that. That will be entirely based on the desk research, but it does have importance. Next one. Okay, I'm trying to do from here. Yeah, where to publish? Now, a lot of people ask their friends, their seniors, I have a paper, I need to publish a paper. Where should I publish a paper? So ideally, you should publish in a journal of your own field. For example, if you've done work on algal physiology, or a study on animal physiology, then publish in that kind of journal or ecological journal. If you have a topic specialized within this topic, like if you are done on algal genetics, maybe there is a journal on algal genetics. You should go for that journal. Try to publish in the journal which have ISSN. That is the basic thing. No paper is valid in the world unless it is ISSN. And mostly try to publish in the journals which have at least 10 years standing, which have NAS rating, impact factor, or Scopus rating. If your study has only Indian relevance, try to publish in a good Indian reputed journal. For example, what happens if you have done some good Indian study, which is important for Indians basically, and you publish in a foreign journal, Indians may never be able to see it, and you may not get the kind of response which you thought you will be getting after publishing your research. Or if you have global significance work you have done, try to publish in an international journal. The selections of co-authors, you must include the name of all those. Nowadays, there is a lot of tendency of ghost authorship. I am the editor, I get so many requests, sir, add my 2 persons. You know, this kind of tradition is not good. Usually only those who have contributed to the research must be part of the research paper. Next one. Yeah. A research is usually divided into following sections. Title. I am the editor. I receive so many papers where there is no address, no name of authors. We don't know who has written this paper. Only thing is, since it is submitted by email, we have their address. So we ourselves put it. But you must first write the names of all the authors. Like, for example, I take my name, R.K. Trivedi, S. Mishra, and G. Ranawat, and Department of Pollution Studies, University of Pune, like that. Then the email of the corresponding author is very, very important. About 10% people don't write the email that you must write. Keywords, a selection of keywords is also very important. Many times you give a keyword which can have thousands of meanings. Give a keyword which has very specific meaning relevant to your paper. Abstract, introduction. Now this is a style for mostly experimental work. If you write a theoretical paper, you can write in the running. Introduction, materials and methods, results, discussion, conclusion. Sometimes you may not conclude, it is optional. Acknowledgement is also optional. References, conflict of interest, sources of funding, I think they are also optional. Some people want it, some people don't want it. Nowadays, a new tradition has also started, individual author's contribution. I don't believe much in that, but if the journal insists on that, you have to do it. If you use a number of abbreviation, you can describe them as an appendix. Some paper can have a section, literature review, or it can be mentioned in the introduction itself. Now, abstract. You see, most important part of the paper is abstract, because just 1 minute. I'm sorry, with my laptop, it was very easy, but since I've shifted to another PC, Anyway, we can leave that. In the abstract, you should write very, very clearly. Even just now I can speak. For example, I worked on a river. So I worked on a river, and what I will write, rivers are being polluted heavily in the country because of industrial waste, sewage and agricultural waste disposal. A large number of studies have been done in India on various aspects of river pollution. In the present study, an important river of Maharashtra has been studied. The study has been carried out on 8 sampling points, 4 of which are polluted by sewage, 2 are polluted by industrial waste, 1 is polluted by agricultural waste. The study found that the water quality parameters were much exceeding the various limits given by Central Pollution Control Board or WHO. Algal studies were also carried out. A large number of algal species were found. The dominant algal species were chlorophyceae. The paper reports the present pollution status of the river and future studies which are required, or future strategies which are to be taken by the government. So it's very clear. Don't be confusing that, start writing philosophical things or like newspapers. Very scientific, very, very concise. I think the problem to going to the next slide here on this PC. Yeah, introduction again should be very interesting. I think before that it was title. The title should be very catchy, because some people write very confusing title. Be very, very simple in writing the title whenever you are writing the title. For example, you have to write studies on some sodic soils in eastern part of Maharashtra. That's all. It's a good topic. You know, you should not give a 3-page or 4-page, mostly not more than 2 lines. The title should be there. Again, the introduction. In the introduction also, if you fill it with large number of references, it will look very odd. Try to give here what you want to do, what is the background, why you were prompted to carry out this study in a very simple language, what exactly you have done, what kind of data are being generated, that's all. Now the methods. Now the method is, again, as an editor, 30,000 papers I have gone through. I have seen the methodology. See, in methods also, you must like a child. You know. A child has gone somewhere and then he comes back and he describes that what he has done there. I entered, I met the school headmistress. She told me this thing. I sat down, the program started. It finished at 6. I came back. Same sequence. What you did, what equipments you have used, from where you collected the samples, and then that comes to the method. For example, chemical analysis of the water. Now you have done pH, conductivity, you have done hardness, you have done biochemical oxygen demand and all that. Now you start describing each. Dissolved oxygen, I took 50 ml of sample. No, don't write all this. Just write what the chemical analysis, physicochemical analysis of the water was done by following methods of APHA 1985, so, whatever. Give only the references. But if you have done some special or change in the method or a new method, then you must describe. And if you have taken a special method, try to give the reference of that method. I think this I have already explained. Results. It is the most important part.
Hello, sir. Excuse me, sir. So please unmute yourself, sir.
Preeti, just wait for 5 minutes. I think sir has left the meeting. He'll be back within 2 minutes.
No, ma'am, he joined actually. I can see his video.
Okay, okay, good.
Yeah. So please unmute yourself. Sir, you are muted, sir.
Unmute, unmute. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So if you write a line that we found that pH of the soils declines as we go eastward, then you must have given the pH data in some table. So write here table 1. Or if you have given in the figure, write here figure 1. Do not write graph 1 or photo 1 or plate 1. Everything is figure. Just stay on one thing, that first pictorial thing, whether it's a graph or plate or anything, you will give as figure 1. Give it figure 1, figure 2, figure 3, figure 4, like that. Photo 1, plate 1 is not to be given. Example, table 1, variation in rainfall in Pune district during 2012-13. Changes in physico-chemical characteristics of Lake Venna during 2010-11. Do not describe each and every result in a monotonous way. See, in results also, you have to describe in a very professional manner. For example, some people, it increased in November, decreased in December, again increased in January, again decreased in this thing. Don't write like this. Write a very fluctuating pattern was noted. In some months it was increasing, in some months it was declining. Most of the increases were found in the months like this and decreases in months like this. Professional. Not that you are very ordinary. You are just starting the research. You are a beginner. It increased, it decreased. Not like this. Concentrate on essentials. Do not give unnecessarily supporting data unless essential. Please always use the International System of Units, which you can always find on the net. Next one. Now avoid too big tables. This is mostly from agriculture faculty. I am finding that very large tables are given, huge tables. Sometimes they do not fit in a page. Have to be taken on the next page. Becomes difficult for the people who are processing them. So try to divide the tables. You can give parameters. I think 6 parameters you can select for one table, rest 6 parameters for the other table. If your electronic artwork is created in a Microsoft application like a MS Word, PowerPoint or Excel, then please supply as it is. And please do not submit files which are for screen use like GH, BMP, PICT or WPG are not to be submitted with a research paper. Do not submit disproportionately large graphics. If you want your figures to be in color, please intimate. For example, if it is an online journal, the figures will come in the color. If it is a print journal, they will charge extra for it. Make it clear with the editor or the publishers in advance. Yeah, discussion. Now, discussion is the most important part. And actually, I don't know about you, what kind of researcher you are, but most of the researchers find it very difficult to write the discussion. I know many people, many of my colleagues who are very good in doing chemical analysis, field surveys, everything. They will write introduction also, they will write methodology also. But when it comes to discussion, in my entire career, most of the people have turned on me. You write the discussion, because discussion is very difficult part. Here, you have to justify what you have to do, what you have done. Here you have to correlate your data with the other people's data. Here you have to provide what new you have done, how your research is going to benefit, what are the lacunae, what should be done in future, what is the practical significance of your research. So it's very important. Now here you do not repeat the phrases. Like for example, you write about the decreasing fertility of agricultural soils in India in the introduction. So here again, you start writing decreasing fertility, 2 paragraphs, 10 references. Don't give this. Here you directly come to the point. Do not start giving here the data like results. We have found this. Yes, you have already written in the methodology that what you have found. Here you write, you come to the point, write philosophically. Do not give anything here which is not a part of the result. That is again important. You make some conclusion and your results are not showing it. This will not be accepted. Do not appreciate your result. Let the result speak that. You say that I have done fantastic studies on this. No, we have done the studies. That's important. Describe novelty of your findings. What is novel in your work? What is new in your work? If it is not new, there is no need to do this research or publish this research. You need to give references of other works related to your study. Do not try to give all published work here, because any topic you select today, you will find that thousands of papers have already been published. So select the latest ones, the good ones, reviews, etc., and try to give references of them. Too many references also looks clumsy, unprofessional, and it shows that you are a beginner. Avoid general statements not founded in your data. Describe the limitations of the study and its strengths. Describe unresolved questions and directions for future research. References. Here again, I find a lot of problems. I struggle a lot as an editor. See, how many references should be given? Some people will give very little references, and I commonly find that almost every paper has some paper cited in the text, but not given in the reference. So what you should do as a researcher, when you complete the paper, make a list of all references on a page, like small thing, like Zakir 1999, Smith 1982, that's all. Only this you write alphabetically. Give the paper to your colleague, ask him, read one by one. Ahmed given, Berkeley given. See, there is some name given. What happens? Unnecessary references are given, and the references which you are given in the text are not given. So be very, very careful about it. The most important thing which the editor get irritated is not mentioning the references, because then we have to write an email back to the author, call him, or search those references on the net. Huge time and money is wasted in this. So Elsevier, which is one of the important publishers in the world, says that 20 you give in a short communication, 35 you give in a research paper, and 75 in a review. Now, how the references are to be quoted in the text depends on the style of the journal. Hence, go through the guidelines. There are a lot of styles of the journal. Some journals underline the name of the journals. Some journals give the year in the end. Some people use colon before the page numbers. So you must see a published paper of that journal online and very carefully see where there is a dot, where there is a colon, which part is italics, where the year is quoted, and exactly like that you should give. Editor will be very happy to receive your paper. The references could be anything, like a research paper published in a journal, a paper or article in a trade journal or a journal magazine, a web reference you can give, a book you can mention. But whenever you mention a book, all names of authors and publishers' name, and if country is also possible, like WBB, Sanders and Company, New York, you should write like this. Or India, if you are writing, S. Chand and Company, New Delhi, India. It should be written like this. You can also mention a research report or a government report, a newspaper reference, for example, Times of India, dated 21 November 2022, or any MSc, MTech, MS or PhD thesis you can mention. If a journal paper is cited, abbreviation of the journal is important. For example, water research is a very important journal. is usually what risks it is written. So you should write like that only. What is the standard, this thing, abbreviation of that journal? You can find it on this particular website. Next one. A final checklist. Actually, I've forgotten about plagiarism. You should also check journal wants how much percentage of plagiarism is allowed. Accordingly, most of the universities are now making the softwares available. Use that software and check the plagiarism in your journal. If it is found above 10 to 15%, just try to do something and reduce it and bring it mostly below 10%. That is supposed to be ideal. Now you have to do a checklist before sending the paper. Email address is there, full postal address is there, phone number is there, may not be on the paper, but at least on the website where you are submitting, so that if editor wants to contact you for any emergency, he has your phone number. The keywords, all the figures are captioned, units are given in all the tables. Many people write water quality parameters, nitrogen 25 kilo or ton or what, 25 milligram per liter or gram per 100 gram, like that you must write. You can also download Grammarly, is a very good thing, but don't believe on Grammarly blindly, because Grammarly goes as per literature while we are scientists. So Grammarly, what is suggesting, use your own brain also, but most of the grammatical mistakes like capital or where the the must be used, all that can be done by Grammarly, but don't fully rely on that. Use your brain also before using the Grammarly. References are in the correct format of the journal. You have to see that. All references mentioned in the reference list are cited in the text, as I said earlier, and vice versa. Permission has been obtained to use copyright material from the source, including the web. Now, galley proof. You will receive a galley proof and how to correct them. Nowadays, most of the journals want you to correct them by using sticky notes. If you do not know how to use sticky notes, try to learn. It's a new technique and good. And if you do not possible at all due to some reason, then you can take a printout of that PDF, do the corrections by hand, by pen, scan, get it scanned and submit to the email which you have received from the editor. Many of the journals, or I think most of the journals, are not giving any reprints these days. The final PDF is important. But now the DOI is given. You should use that DOI so that your paper will directly open on the website of the journal. Journal copies are also not given by the publishers now. Some publishers can provide you on a cost and you can buy. Open access is available for some journals not. Remember, there are two types of journals. Some are e-journals, some are print journals. And e-journals or print journals also can be together, that they are e-journals as well as print journals. A new approach is proposed. I will come to that later. Yeah. This is an example. This is one of my journals. In volume 40, number 4, a paper is published. Just see that the title is written. This is from Nigeria, so it has large number of authors, but each author's name and address is clearly written. You can see here. And then received on which date, accepted on which date, and then the abstract. Now, if you see this abstract, you will find it's very professionally written. Studies have shown that maternal, passive, and active smoking is associated with an increased risk of obstetric complications and adverse perineal outcomes. This study assessed knowledge of impact of maternal, passive, and active smoking on obstetric complications. So very, very clear. And what data he has obtained and how much is the statistical significance of that data. Very, very briefly, he has described here. Now, the new a paper must be original. Even if it is a review, it should be well planned and well analyzed. Cut and paste papers have no value. Somebody says, I have to publish a paper from here and there, some data is collected. That's not important. Always remember and note the basic thing. This is not for even this research paper. For everything which you do in your life, always remember, ask these questions. How, why, when, and what. How I can do this study? Why should I do this study? When should I do this study? And what I should do in this study. Never start the paper from the introduction. Some people say, start the paper from, don't write introduction first, because when you are finished with the other things, the introduction will automatically come on your tongue and you will start writing. Start the paper from materials and methods and results of the study. Once you have written and memorized it well, the rest portions will be easy to write. If materials and methods go into imagination and history of how you carried out this study with the help of your notes and information. Describe very systematically without any confusion. Some people think that if I write some special English, it will attract more. No. You refer the journal Nature sometimes, which is the most important journal of the world. You will find that language is simple. Simple language always impresses more than the complicated language. Materials used are the site selected, how many replicates you have taken, and the entire protocol you can describe. That's what you did. Statistics you should always use. If any method is modified, described in detail. Keep sequence intact and not too many headings. Results, give figures and table, supplementary information, visible outcome, must correlate figures and table numbers with the result. Always follow the journal's guidelines. Read it first, notes for every steps of the paper, and then follow it. Discussion, scientific temperament and analytical skill is must for writing discussion. I tell you, this is not everybody's cup of tea. You need a different brain for writing. You must. For this, you should read a lot of research papers. If you read so many research papers, automatically you will develop that skill. Never write discussions. It is always discussion. What is new? That you should always write. How your findings are in agreement or disagreement. If a literature review is to be given here, be concise with other similar works. Don't start describing the study done by somebody in Ethiopia. He also studied this and found these results right in just 2 or 3 lines. Give a presentation in your lab of your paper, which you have written, and take feedback from your colleagues. Present a model or a hypothesis if possible, future prospects, implications of your research. Always justify you have done a worthwhile work and discuss what needs to be done yet. Important tips. Now write introduction. Now once you have done all this, material methods, discussions, everything, you write introduction as you know the whole study. Give a background. Any example like once you have done the whole study, you can give a background that lot of agriculture produces or lot of agricultural, a lot of food is produced in India, but a large part of this food is wasted or it is damaged. That's the background, because you have done a study to save the damaged food or to save the crops from the pest. So you have to give a background of the damage of the crop, which is done in terms of percentage or in terms of tons per year or whatever. Right? What is the approach followed and clearly what you have done. Abstract, only key things you give. Keep short, no references to be given in the abstract, because there are some abstracting journals. They will give you write reference, they will never be able to find it. So don't give any reference here. Now, how much time, Kasha, I have more?
No, sir. You please take your time, sir.
Yeah. You have to submit a research proposal. This is for those who are already either assistant professor or associate professor or a scientist or working in a society which can submit research proposals. I will not be able to complete it because it's a very big presentation, but I think the main things I can tell you. Okay? Yeah.
Yes.
So projects are like minor research projects. If you, I don't know how many of you are from science faculty, but UGC gives you a minor research projects, which is up to 1 lakh or 2 lakhs now. In my time, it was 4,000 rupees. And every year I used to get one till I got major projects from DBT and Ministry of Environment, etc. Or you can get a major research project, which could be 20 lakhs, 50 lakhs, 1 crore, 3 crores, 5 crore, 10 crores. Department of Science and Technology, Science and Engineering Research Council, Department of Environment, Ministry of Environment, Department of Atomic Energy, Department of Biotechnology, UGC, ICAR, ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research. You can get a corporate project. If you come across any industry which is facing a problem, which you can solve, you can submit a project to them. You can submit to the Government of India departments, for example, Department of Water Resources, or Department of Agriculture, or any other department, or to the international funding like Ford Foundation, International Science Foundation, Smithsonian Foundation, any various NGOs also give you the, or you can have internal university projects also. If you write a proposal, you have to it's just like a research paper. You have to be very clear why you want to do it and what is your proposal, objectives, what are the skills needed in writing the research proposal is your technical skill as well as your managerial skill. See, doing research is different. Running a project is different. In running a project, you have to manage the research fellows. You have to manage your authorities. You have to see the arrangement of electricity and waters are there. You have to contact other organizations. You must know how to talk to them, how to convince them, allow them to give your facilities. All these things are required for carrying out a research project. Even technologically sound projects may fail if implementation tasks are ill-defined or external factors such as socio-economic and environmental concerns are not addressed properly. On the other hand, an ill-planned project, even if approved on technical merits alone, it may lead to major setbacks in implementation as a result of flaws in the planning in writing phase. You have planned something, you have chewed more, you have bitten more than you can chew. You have written so many things in the enthusiasm, I will do this, I will do this. And you find that you are not able to do it and it's not feasible. Then at a later stage, you may face problem with the funding agencies. Sponsor, the same thing I have discussed. These are the websites you can find for each organization has their different pro forma. So you must go through their pro forma as per that you should be able to write the project. Appraisal is done time to time of your project, what progress you are doing. That's important. Focus and goals. You should try to give projects which are focused on, which will get priority, like on elimination of poverty, increasing productivity, conservation of resources, food security, etc. Such projects, you should also identify that who are the stakeholders, who are your partners or who are your team members. Develop, like again here, title, introduction, rationale, research method, means of objective realization, program, activities, time, resources, indicators and their evaluation, budget, all this you have to give. Here, you have to be a very good financial brain. For example, you write a proposal for 10 lakhs. Your study actually needs 30 lakhs. Don't be shy of it. Write 35 lakhs if it requires 30 lakhs. If the proposal is good, money will never be a constraint by the government authorities or by any other authorities. So title, for example, you can have titles like establishment of petrocrop, farming in wastelands of Rajasthan, progeny testing of young crossbred bulls in rural areas, molecular architecture of photosynthetic membranes, animals and handcrafts in the urban system in national survey, why chickens die in poultry farm, developing a low-cost technology to detect aflatoxin in chicken feed, fishes of the future, identification and characterization of endangered aquatic species in selected tropical sites, greening the desert, conserving water in Rajasthan with burnt tanks and watershed, or any other topic on which you are good, on which you have experience, you can write and submit. So there is a background you have to provide it, just like a research paper. Review of literature, what previous studies have been done, ideas for your own work, what not to do, convince others about your knowledge of the past work in the area. Problem statement, that what is the problem and why you are undertaking this study. Objectives, what do you want to achieve? The objectives are valuable to whom? Are they measurable? Means if you are doing something, can we measure that it has made some difference? Are they realistic in terms of time and available resources? If there are multiple objects, each of the objectives shall lead to a sub-project. Each objective should have a corresponding hypothesis. Objectives are not to be split unduly. It will be convenient if a multidisciplinary project is split into a number of, many of you are from agriculture, so all of you know this, that there are all India coordinated projects on blue-green algae, all India coordinated project on sugarcane. So if you are a big scientist, you can submit an all India coordinated project also, or you can make a big project that can have 5 smaller aspects, and each aspect will be handled by a different department in your organization or a nearby organization. You can make projects like this also. Methods you have to describe, what kind of methods you will be following. Work program you have to give fully. You have to give per chart how exactly you will be moving. First 3 months, what you will be doing. Next 3 months, what you will be doing, etc. Feasibility, whether it is possible to do this, what you are writing. Activities, all major activities, logical relationship between them. Partners, who are your partners? A nearby medical college, a nearby agriculture station, or a nearby Krishi Vigyan Kendra is going to help you. Mention that. Quality concern, how you will be able to judge your data, that the data you have generated is correct or not. Some kind of parameters you have to mention there. Indicators like productivity, returns, poverty alleviation. These are the indicators of your success. Productivity has increased, better returns are available, poverty is removed, food security is strengthened, gender specific impact is there, conservation aspect is there, a particular species you are trying to conserve. Are you successful in that? Is your project able to generate some employment, or use of indigenous knowledge has been able to help to develop some kind of product or prototype that you should write. Budget, you have to write. Avoid over budgeting means I said 30 to 35 lakhs, but not 30 to 60 lakhs. Research projects are not a way to earn money. So you should be very, very realistic. And the people who are judging your project are very well aware that how much money is required for each activity. So don't try to befool them. The project may outrightly be rejected if the cost is inflated too much. Again, the budget. Fund requirements will be low in the initial phases. If you find at any stage of the project that you need more money, you can always demand them, but your justification has to be very, very strong. That's why you are asking for more money. Some general tips: write the title and keywords first. Following this, develop rationale and materials and methods. Develop work program, including training details. Provide indicators, as I mentioned earlier, like poverty alleviation, increase in productivity, or indigenous knowledge, or generation of more product of any particular thing like that. Give detailed budget and budget abstract. At this stage, write introduction, writing background information, urgency and need for the present study. Finally, write the abstract in less than 15 lines. The proposal should be easy to read with short sentences. For every break in the continuity of text, a separate paragraph is to be given. The entire text should be written in future tense. We will be doing this, this will be done, these will be the results obtained, like that. Future. The manuscript should be about 25 typed pages, typed with double space and with clear 1-inch margin on either side. Check for safe procedure, environmental concerns, and ethical considerations. You are working on animals, you don't write anything that we will follow ethical guidelines or we will take proper permission from relevant authorities, then the project will not be selected. Downplay, but do not omit the benefits to your organization. Don't write that this project will change my organization, lot of equipments will be generated for students and this thing. No, this project is also likely to benefit the future research students of the department because of the instrument infrastructure which will be created in this project. If you have to use we, always say your colleagues and all that. Usual format, need and justification for the facility, including the equipments, proposed organizational structure, detailed R&D program of scientists from other institution departments interested in using this facility, the competence and area of research of the principal investigator or group of investigators. If you do not have that necessary, you are submitting a project on soil erosion. You don't have a single paper in a good journal on soil erosion, it is not likely to be accepted. So you have to be really qualified. Self-assessment reflecting specific competence of the principal investigator for undertaking the program and justification for choosing the location of the proposed facility. Necessary supporting documents from the users may be attached along with the proposal. Participation of the parent institution, other science and technology agencies, state government departments or private industry, financial as well as technical must be mentioned in such projects. The principal institution implementing the project assumes financial and other administrative responsibilities of the project. In case of multi-institutional project, principal investigator has to obtain formal agreement from the collaborating institutions and scientists. International travel usually not permitted, but in India, you can travel, attend conferences, pay for the cost of your publication of your papers and various other things. The manpower recruited for the projects are temporary and should be paid as per the rules of the institute and guidelines of the Government of India. It is the policy of the funding agency to maximize the use of an equipment. In this slide, investigators shall permit the use of spare or ideal capacities of the equipment procedure under the project by bona fide users from the parent or nearby institution. You should mention that I'm going to buy gas chromatograph, which may also be used by chemistry department of my institution, although I'm from this department, and that will certainly please the organizations. The proposals are scrutinized by experts in the field, and after a peer review by AC or expert committee, the funding agency takes the decision. The role of co-principal investigator in the project should be clearly spelled out. Why a co-investigator or co-principal investigator has been taken, what is its role and what he will be doing. In case of retired scientists, there should be co-PAI who will be in service during the duration of the project. If you are working on recombinant DNA, you should take permission from Department of Biotechnology. Or if you are doing some clinically oriented or project which involve experiments with human or animal material from ICMR, you have to take the permission. Proposal in the area of earth science, or if you use any map or something, maybe the relevant authorities, you have to take the permission. A prescribed format has a project title, broad subject, subject area, duration, total cost, duration, project category, investigator and principal implementing institution, collaborating investigators and institution, project summary you have to provide, subject keywords you have to provide, definition of the problem, precise technical statement that exactly why you are doing it. I mean, this has been discussed earlier. State of knowledge, importance of the proposed project, justification for the subject area, review of the expertise, patent details, if mention, also be made of any patents being filed in the area with brief details, methodology in much detail, work elements like technical work, designing, experimental model, calculations, administrative work, time schedule, utilization of research results, who will be using those results which will be obtained, farmers or scientists or various government departments has to be given. Budget estimates have to be given. Budget for research manpower and justification for their salaries and wages. Budget for consumable materials like chemicals, etc. And use of costly consumable, you have to further justify them. Budget for travel within India and justification for intensive travel on projects, if any. Budget for other costs and justifications for the same. Budget for permanent equipment and justification for the same. Similarly, instead of infrared spectrophotometer, sometime Perkin-Elmer model 598 or Shimazu model IR408 should be stated. After the project is approved, however, the investigator may go for a different model or make so long as the basic characteristics and the costs are comparable to those mentioned in the proposal. If you do something right and if you are honest, then you can always justify it. Time schedule of the activity through bar diagram. First 3 months this, make a arrow down, I will do this field work. Next, laboratory work, analytical work, writing work, modeling, development of models, all that you describe either a PERT chart or through bar diagrams. Biodata of investigator is very, very important and it should be very carefully written. And most of the projects now awarded to those who are published in high quality journals. Major results achieved should be brief review of the results achieved and scope for further research, scientific and technological benefits emerging out, manpower trained, patent. This you have to give later, of course, once you have done the project. Formats are there, of different institutions or different agencies have different formats and you have to follow them. Again, principal investigator, somebody wants summary, 150 words, keywords, technical details, introduction, origin of the proposal, definition of the problem, objective, review of the status of the research and development in this subject, international status, national status, importance of the proposed project in the context of current status, review of expertise available, work plan, methodology, organization of work elements, time schedule, all these things have to be mentioned. Budget estimate are given like this, salaries, first year, 1 lakh, second year, maybe 2 lakhs, like that you have to. Equipment, most of the equipments may be purchased in the first year itself. So you have to write here the equipments. So monthly salary of the staff, consumable material, chemicals, glassware, or if any other things you want to buy, travel, where you will travel first year, how much money you will require for this. Budget for equipments, generic name of the equipment, imported, indigenous, estimated cost, in foreign currency also if required, spare time for other users in percentage, like 50% time, it will be used by other users and 50% time for the present research. What infrastructure you presently have in your institution that you have to describe in great detail. Maybe of other departments also, you can take their permission and describe in your project. Again, about the equipment, PI and his group. Biodata of the investigator, like how many publications he has, list of projects which he has implemented, details of research projects which are currently he is handling, and project status completed, report submitted or not, ongoing, what are the major results were obtained in your previous research projects, that you have to describe. Thank you very much. Yeah. If there are any questions, I am available. Yeah. Kashal, you are there?
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your valuable time and efforts. It was extremely helpful and neatly discussed, sir.
Okay.
To all our participants, faculty members, and researchers who all are there in the meet today, who definitely it will be helpful in their scientific research writing. And besides that, you had some technical issues. You very well managed to justify the topic, sir. So we are very thankful for
Thank
that.
you very much. Thank you.
So actually, we have joined through YouTube Live. So if there are any questions available there, we will ask you through mail, sir. We will discuss you through email, sir.
Okay.
So yeah.
Is
so
it?
on the behalf of
I
Team
think
Just
you have recorded this presentation. Is there any way
Yes,
that
sir.
you can send me the recording?
So we will try to. So I will ask the team if they have that thing to send. Then they will definitely send, sir.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Oh.
Maybe I can.
Thank you so much.
I can mail that to some of my students and all that. My daughter, who's also doing PhD, it will be helpful to her. That's why. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Recording definitely has been taken, sir. So we will send you.
Yeah.
Sir.
Try to send it to me. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank
Can
you
I
so
make it?
much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Switch it off. Huh? Okay. Bye.
Yes. Yes. Sir.
Yeah.
So.
Just a minute. Just a minute. Okay. Yeah. I don't know why it's not going. No.
So here comes the end of today's session. We shall call it a day. Thank you all for participating. We shall meet again tomorrow. Thank you all.